Welcome to
No.
fuck.
No.
What?
Fuck you. Welcome to
Brutal.
the MMA podcast.
Okay.
I want to do it that way. So that's how we're doing it.
Wanna reverse it this time?
Yeah. Fuck you. Well, UFC 290 wrapped up like 4 days ago. Fucking amazing card. The last two UFC cards have been really fucking well done.
Yeah.
The matchups were good. The fights were good. I have nothing to complain about right now, honestly. I mean, I have to complain about this next card coming up. It's complete hot dog water.
I saw. I couldn't
I'm
recognize.
a little bit upset about it, to be honest with you. But we'll get through it.
Yeah,
I'll hold your hand through it.
Okay. Thank you, friend.
It'll make it bearable.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna run through the prelims, then the main card, UFC 290. Just run down what happened, give our opinions and thoughts on what happened in the fights. And yeah, let's get right into it. I'm pretty sure the first fight was Alonzo Menafield and Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute is such a former shell of his old self that makes me very fucking sad. I used to be a very big Jimmy Crute fan. He showed up to this fight. His striking was abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
His kicks were abysmal. His grappling was abysmal. He couldn't take down Alonzo Menafield. He couldn't hit him. He couldn't land a leg kick. He couldn't do anything. And in the last fight, he got dropped and still wrestled him to the floor. And just Alonzo Menafield with a little bit of preparation for the rematch because they drawed in their first fight. Just steamrolled him. He key lock submissioned him, which like never happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's a basic bitch submission. Like if you're bad at jiu-jitsu, you get key locked.
What is it like?
It's like some shit with your arms. I can't describe it perfectly because I don't do BJJ, but it's pretty upsetting.
Unfortunate.
It's pretty upsetting to watch Jimmy Crute fail and fail again. He took his gloves off, and I know he's debating retiring. He's only 26.
Yeah, I was gonna say like.
Yeah,
he's gonna retire after that.
I don't know. Alonzo Menafield has some of the worst fight IQ I've ever seen in my life. He proved it in that last fight with Alonzo Menafield. So I don't know where Crute goes from here. Alonzo Menafield is probably going to continue to be a journeyman and knock out contenders. So not contenders, more like people who want to be in the top 15. He'll knock out the ones that aren't good and then get knocked out by the ones that actually are good. So
interesting. Yeah, there's those reverse fighters that I've noticed.
He did get a good finish though, so I'll give him that. And he showed improvement in the anti-wrestling, so I could get mad at him. But I wouldn't say it was the most interesting fight in the world.
Got it.
We had a really surprising finish by Denise Gomez in 20 seconds. She got
20 seconds, really?
20 seconds. There's a lot of really big flash knockouts. Jesus Aguilera in the very first fight of the night, his first punch he threw in 17 seconds knocked out his opponent unconscious.
Really?
Yep. A lot of knockouts. This was the first ever UFC event with 4 sub-1 minute knockouts.
That's crazy.
It was a really exciting card. And it didn't stop with Yasmin Uruguay. I'm a really big fan of Yasmin Uruguay, but she got knocked the fuck out.
Just got obliterated.
She has amazing boxing. She's got great striking. She's really fun to watch. She made her UFC debut in San Diego, actually.
Really?
And it was one of the most hype fights I've seen in my life. It was her and another girl named Yasmin, actually. It was 2 Yasmins, and not even like Jasmine. They were both Yasmin.
Yasmin, yeah.
It was very funny to me.
That is pretty funny.
But she just stepped in and got knocked the fuck out. So I mean, it was pretty much a flash knockout. She got knocked on her ass and then ground and pounded out. So kind of a kick KO, kind of a TKO, somewhere in the middle. Really good fight though. I mean, it was short but really fun. Then we had an amazing prospect showing from Tatsuro Taira. I completely expected that. I expect him to actually get the submission. This is his 4th straight fight in the UFC. His first fight was a decision, then he got 2 submissions after that. And he's 14-0 now, 4-0 in the UFC. One of the best flyweight talents out there. He's got really fucking solid grappling, but he needs to work on the striking. He's got fast striking, but he struggles to get his head kicks up there. So really good showing. Dominated every single round except for one. So, I mean, Tatsuro retired doing what does best. So, it was a good fight.
That's good to hear.
Robbie Lawler's retirement fight.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Ruthless Robbie Lawler. I'm really happy to see. He got the knockout in the first 30 seconds of the fight. And in the clinch, too. It was really weird. He was in the clinch here, and he hits him twice in the temple. Once was an uppercut, and then it seemed like a light paw. Taps him in the temple, off button, knocks him out cold.
Really?
Yeah, out cold. Not even like a
just like a
dead man on the canvas. Wasn't stiff, but like limp body.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It didn't look like a harsh strike, but I guess Robbie Lawler landed it perfectly. and he
First
started
knockout partner.
fighting 4 days before I was born.
Really?
Yeah, and he's from San Diego, so it's pretty cool.
Damn.
Yeah, there's a retirement fight. I doubt I see him retiring after a knockout like that. Sometimes, like when you're an old man, you kind of want to like
Go until you can't.
Go until you can't. So if he's retiring now, I'm really glad for that because I want to see a UFC fighter retire without their brains being bashed in.
Yeah, he retired on a good note.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy for Robbie Lawler if he's actually fully retired, which is what the hope is.
Yeah.
From here, we'll burst into the main card.
Ooh.
Bo Nickel, Val Woodburn. Kind of expected.
Called it perfectly.
Yeah, I didn't expect a knockout. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I don't know why.
I think you're just lucky.
Well, no, I'll tell you why I said it was going to be a knockout is because Bo Nickel. I think I've seen him fight once.
Yeah, I got the head arm triangle choke on the same card as John Jones.
I've seen him fight once, and he was like okay. He was like okay, pretty good. But I saw a edit, I think, or I saw some video on Bo Nickel, and that was actually focusing on his striking, showing that his striking was getting a lot better and was doing pretty well. And
even in that fight with Val Woodburn, he had really awful striking.
I don't know.
No. It was dog shit striking. He literally he attempted a takedown, and he used it just to scare Val. So Val wasn't looking for any sort of headshots. And then as Val was stepping in, he threw a hard right hand, and it landed. Yeah. And then he sloppily wing punches at him until they landed, and it knocked him out. Val Woodburn's never been in the UFC. It was his UFC debut. And I mean, 7-0 is a good record, but he wasn't prepared. It's not his weight class either. So
really,
well, because he took the fight on like 3 days notice. Against one of the best wrestlers in the entire UFC. Yeah. And when a guy with UFC training, of course his striking is going to be better than someone who's not in the UFC. So I think his striking is really not good, and he has a lot of things to improve on, especially after that performance. But it's really good to see him get a knockout. I think Bo Nickel's a good guy too. He's a little bit cocky, but he's a good guy. So it was good to see him get a win like that.
Yeah.
Definitely needs to like work on the technique of his striking though. He very much of a winging punches kind of guy. So.
Yeah, I mean regardless though, I was kind of happy to see it ended the way it did.
It was a good fight, and Bo Nickel, I mean, he didn't lose against a piece of shit fighter, so it's good.
True.
Dan Hooker, Jalen Turner. Fuck yeah, Dan Hooker. He did so fucking good in this fight.
He did pretty well.
He was getting his ass kicked the first 2 rounds, like getting brutalized, honestly. Jalen Turner was head kicking him. There was a snappy head kick that landed. It sounded like a baseball bat hitting fucking dome. And I was like, okay, Jalen Turner's doing what he does best, which is technically like outpoint someone. And I thought he was going to finish Dan Hooker because Dan Hooker looked done for after that head kick. But Dan Hooker's mental fortitude is so much stronger than Jalen Turner's. And you can see that in the fight. Anytime Jalen Turner doubted himself, Dan Hooker put on the fucking gas pedal and started to just, disintegrate him. And it was like, you could see there was a part of the fight where Jalen Turner's here and he's eating like 5 straight strikes, but he's still throwing back. And then he looks off away from Dan Hooker, like shakes his head, like he doesn't even believe in himself. And then Dan Hooker puts the pace on and almost knocks him out that round. As soon as Jalen Turner started doubting himself, he lost that fight because he was still in the lead. He was winning the second round. And then as soon as he started getting tired and doubting himself, he lost. Even if he was tired and he didn't doubt himself, I guarantee you he could have won that second round. And then the third round would have been like maybe a 10-8 for Dan Hooker. And it would have been a draw or a Jalen Turner win. Jalen Turner has been the subject of 2 split decision losses in a row now in fights where I could have given it to him. Like that fight was super close. Like that second round was such a fucking toss-up.
Honestly, in my opinion, that second round went to Turner. I had
the first and second rounds to Turner.
Yeah.
But that second round was so fucking close.
It was just the thing is like I think you said before, like, yeah, Turner dropped him twice in that round, and he was doing very well, and he was basically like destroying the whole time and had complete control the whole time. And then at the last minute, he gets dropped. And
Hooker puts on the pace.
Hooker puts on the pace. He finally is doing really well for the first time in the fight.
If Turner didn't give up on himself already in that second round, he would have won it. If he scrambled back to his feet and actually fought for the win in that second round, he would have done it. But when he got dropped, he just crumbled and like shelled up and then slowly got up and then crumbled again.
Yeah, it looked like
And
he was trying not to get knocked out,
it looked like he was trying to get
and he was
knocked
like
out.
struggling, but it was like, okay, I understand that at that last minute, absolutely dominating for Hooker, like completely, but I felt like even though it was, domination, it didn't award him the entire round, in my opinion. That just, I was
I
like,
think how you finish out a round is who the round should go to. If you have a fighter who dominates the first 4 minutes,
mhm.
but then gets dropped in the last minute and almost put out, you got to give that round to them. But I don't think Turner was almost out in that second round. I think he got dropped and he looked a little bit worse for wear. But the worst thing was the body language. Jalen Turner looked like shit after that. It all
Yeah,
has to
that
do
is
with body
true.
language, how you carry yourself.
That
If
last
you
round
walk out
was
there with
pretty
your
bad.
chest fucking high and you're throwing bombs, regardless of how fucking tired you are or not, of course you're gonna do better. But
Yeah.
if you're putting your arms down, if you're shaking your head, you're looking at the floor when someone's throwing punches at you, you're not gonna fucking win.
He was definitely
So
like struggling the last round.
it's a lesson to Turner. You
Mhm.
know, it's crazy to me. Jalen Turner is still, by my opinion, one of the best prospects in 155. Um,
He was doing insane.
he did miss weight for that fight,
Hmm.
so that was a big factor of it. You could tell the weight cut really like fucked with him. I think going up to welterweight might help him, but if he can manage to keep weight in lightweight, then try and stay in lightweight because he's
Yeah.
very good in lightweight. But I think lightweight's just full of fucking dogs.
Yeah, it was. Well,
Lightweight
the
is
thing was,
full of
is
fucking
like it.
dogs.
He was really good, especially that first round. You could see he had complete control. He was doing very well. He was throwing insane punches. He was,
His speed's
like
incredible.
his speed
His
was
speed's really
amazing.
incredible.
Yeah, and I was like really happy to see it. And then after that last minute in the second round, when he went into the third round, he was just gassed. He was like out of it. You could see it was like it seemed like he needed to work on his cardio more. He needed to work on his tank and just kind of.
One big thing with the tank though, it's the weight cut. Weight cut fucks your tank up really
Mhm.
bad.
Yeah,
So
and I can
if he
imagine if
can,
he can move
yeah,
up, he might do pretty well because
yeah.
he seemed like he was knowledgeable, and
Absolutely. No,
competent.
he has great technique. He has good takedown defense. He has good striking. It's just one of those things. I think he needs to figure out his intangibles.
Mhm.
So hopefully Jalen Turner, learns from this loss and takes it to heart and understands there's levels of toughness. You don't have to just there's this top 50% and a bottom 50%. I think he has that top 50%. I think he's a tough motherfucker, but I don't think he has what Dan Hooker has, which is just the definition of toughness. I've seen Dan Hooker go through all sorts of fucking wars, and
Yeah,
he
I'll admit he was very
always
tough.
fucking lasts.
Yeah,
He always lasts.
he was
So
doing very well. So
it's a good fucking fight though.
yeah, absolutely.
After that, Robert Whitaker, Dracus Duplessis. Fuck. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Robert Whitaker, man. Robert Whitaker looked really good to start off the first round
He did.
and just
Yeah.
crumbled. Dracus Duplessis, I really underrated his game planning. I still think he's a sloppy fighter. I still think he doesn't have a very good gas tank. I think one thing that helped him a lot that I didn't know about till after the fight is he got his nose fixed. His nose was like crushed
Mhm.
and fucked up and broken, and he ended up getting it
They
fixed.
mentioned that, I think,
So I think
during
it helped a
yeah.
lot with his cardio, to be honest, and it showed. It seemed like he had better cardio, but it still looks like he was gassed. But he had a perfect game plan for what Robert Whitaker brought to the table. So he was able to get Robert Whitaker, a guy who's only lost to Israel Adesanya in his last like 6-7 years of fighting.
Mhm.
Robert Whitaker, I've never seen crumble like that except for Israel Adesanya. And in their second fight, when his second fight with Israel Adesanya, I thought he beat him. So it's crazy to see Dracus execute his game plan so well. And the way he handled himself in the interview after was really good too, because Israel Adesanya basically gave him the chance to be the bad guy, and he didn't take it. So now you can see a lot of people online and etc. They're siding with Dracus.
Yeah, because
Because
Adesanya was like out of pocket.
well,
You know,
Israel is generally out of pocket. I think he's like a little bit of an immature child.
it seemed like he was trying to put on a show.
Well,
Like I saw someone say, like, "What is this? The WWE?"
the
You know?
WWE just partnered with the UFC.
Really?
They're actually just like under the same promotion now. They actually got bought out. So that a lot of people are saying Vince McMahon, the owner of the the owner of the WWE, is influencing like a lot of these after fight like showdowns.
Mhm.
So it's really interesting actually, but I think the way Israel approached it, I mean, generally Israel is really childish. I mean, there's videos of him like flopping dead in front of someone's kids after he just knocked their father
Oh, I saw, yeah.
unconscious. There's like videos of him like like he talks about watching like hentai and shit. He's kind of just like a little bit of a immature person. I don't like see
How old is
it's
he?
30 something.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't act like he's 30.
No, he
He
acts a
acts like
little bit.
some
He
people that
wears
are
a lot of
my
anime
age.
stuff and acts just very childish. It's okay to have your interests. Anime's fine, but a lot of stuff he talks about is I would consider Sean Strickland in a lot of areas more mature than Israel Adesanya, which is saying a fucking lot. Because at least Sean Strickland sticks with his word. But
Oh, dude, speaking of, I'm so sad because I don't think we're gonna be able to see that fight like,
mm,
there's no chance because
mm.
now it's gonna be
Yeah,
Davis
I think
versus
Drakus after that
Adesanya. Yeah.
absolutely deserves a title shot though, which is so annoying to say out loud. I'm not a Drakus fan, and I think he almost lost against Darren Till. Darren Till, when he left the sport, was so bad. So
Mhm.
bad. He was on a 4-fight like TKO loss streak, and then fought Drakus and almost beat Drakus with like a simple 1-2 jab, like jab cross. That's basically what he beat him with almost. And then
Mhm.
he ended up landing well and got like TKO'd. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't think Drakus is gonna beat Izzy, but honestly, I wouldn't be mad if it happened. He has a really good IQ. Drakus has a much better IQ than I thought he did.
I will
So
admit he was doing very well. Yeah.
yeah,
No.
he's very smart. He's very smart. He
Yeah.
knows how to beat fighters, and that's what you need in this sport. So, Robert
Yeah.
Whitaker, please heal up and please bash more skulls in. Man, I really hope Robert Whitaker recovers and then somehow gets back to the title because I
Be
miss
nice to
the
see.
champion Robert Whitaker. Man,
Yeah. And then we're on to
Brandon Moreno, Alejandro. I can never say that name right.
Alejandre.
Nope, it's
Alexandre.
Alexandre. It's Alexandre.
Alexandre.
Alexandre Pantoja. Pantoja is a fucking savage.
I will admit, yeah.
Brandon
Completely.
Moreno, I believe, won that fight. I give like all the middle rounds to Pantoja.
To Pantoja?
No, to Moreno.
Yeah, I was like,
It was a really close fight, and the fact it was so close when Brandon Moreno broke his right
yeah,
hand in
I
the
was gonna
first
say
round
it's like
is
Moreno
incredible.
is just simply
Moreno
the better fighter in my opinion.
Moreno has better technique. He's more exciting to watch. He landed more strikes. He did more to damage, in my opinion. But one thing is his striking defense when pushing into a power striker is really lackluster, and it bothers me because he fought Figueiredo like 4 times, and he still didn't learn. Um, I feel like in their most recent fight, we saw one of the best versions of Moreno where he swamped Figueiredo. But in this fight, he just went back to what he did in like the third fight against Figueiredo, which was get dropped twice. He kind of just comes in and he starts winging punches with the guy who's winging punches, and he can't take shots the same way they can take his shots because he doesn't throw as hard. He's a technique fighter, but he's fighting these guys that are jacked up and throwing like stiff hooks. When you get hit by a stiff hook, you're gonna fall down. And I mean, Moreno was landing these really flush strikes. There was this one slow mo I saw. It was so satisfying where he rips the body with the hook and then goes high with the head. Same left hand.
Really?
Bing bing. And I
That's pretty
was I
nice.
was I was screaming when it happened. But um I thought he did enough to get the win, and Pantoja kind of just held the back for the end of the last round. But
Yeah, it was like,
in the judges' eyes, I guess that pushed it to a win for him.
yeah, I don't know.
It was a really close fight. Either way, I think both of them deserve the fucking world, and I hope they have another quadrilogy. It'll be the second quadrilogy ever.
Yeah.
But as it stands, Moreno is 0-3 against Pantoja. So
Really?
yeah, that's why I said quadrilogy, because Moreno already had the first ever quadrilogy with Davison Figueiredo.
I just feel like it's frustrating when a fighter gets hurt like that, like we saw with I think it was Burns versus Bilal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it's
See,
just frustrating because they're
the
better.
crazy thing is, I think the way that um Burns broke his hand was a lot worse than the
It was
way
his
Moreno
shoulder,
broke
yeah, right.
I don't remember exactly what
I
it
think it was his
was.
shoulder.
I
He
think it
fucked up
was his
his
shoulder. I
shoulder
think
and he
that you're
couldn't
right. So
throw.
he couldn't throw, he couldn't do anything.
It
But
was definitely
Moreno was
worse.
still throwing with a broken hand,
Yeah.
which is crazy to me because a lot of guys just give up at that point.
Well,
But
that's my point. It's like Burns had to stop. He just had to
yeah,
completely stop. And Moreno could have stopped, but he didn't. He still fought. Now, of course, when you're throwing with a broken hand, it's not going to be as effective, which is, I think, why he was losing, because he just couldn't throw as effective. Because he was landing, and I was watching him land the shit out of Pantoja, and he just wasn't
the
doing
problem
any
was
damage.
the UFC is so damage based now. So what
Yeah.
happens is he lands like 20 straight strikes and Pantoja whiffs every one. And then one of Pantoja's huge hooks, when he would come in and he'd start to trade with Moreno, one of them would land and then it'd drop him.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I see with Moreno. He openly invites a lot of these like slugfests,
Yeah,
which
I
makes it
noticed that he
fun,
was
makes it
just
entertaining.
taking
But
hits.
he would just step in there and just eat shots.
Yeah.
And I mean, props to Pantoja. I mean, he had an emotional win on the canvas after crying. He gets up and he goes, "Are you proud of me now, Dad? Are you proud of me now?" He was raised by a single mother, and his father
Mhm.
was never around for him. So I mean, Pantoja's I think a great champion. I think he deserved the win. I think they both did, honestly. So I'm not mad about the win. But incredible fight overall.
Sorry.
um,
But yeah,
then
no, I
then
agree.
then we had the main event, which was another great fight.
Fuck
You know
yeah.
what annoys me? I had a lot of people, specifically from my job and shit, tell me that that fight was boring. Yeah, no, it really bothered me. A
Yeah,
lot of
it was.
casuals don't like technical striking. Alexander Volkanovski technically outpaced, outstruck, outwrestled, and destroyed Yair Rodriguez systematically.
It was amazing. Yeah.
It was really well done.
Yeah.
It was a great performance from Alexander the Great. You know, he has some of the best fight IQ in the entire UFC by a landslide because he doesn't have the strongest strikes. He's not the fastest striker, but his overall game is elite. It's so elite. One of the best combos I've ever seen in my entire life. I replayed it like 100 times. He comes in, throws a body shot, throws a uppercut to the head, and then grabs his legs, dumps him on his ass, and starts ground and pounding him, and that's how he finishes him. It
Yeah.
was such an amazing performance from him. I mean, he waited till Yair got tired, and he pressed on the gas pedal. He did exactly what he was supposed to. Defended way better than I thought he would. I was afraid Yair would smash him with a head kick maybe because I've seen Max Holloway and some other lackluster strikers land head kicks on Alex when maybe someone else wouldn't.
Mhm.
So I thought Yair could exploit that, but I didn't see Yair throw as many kicks. I think he was a little bit nervous, to be
Yeah,
honest,
it was
of
honestly.
his wrestling.
Yeah, I was just really really happy to see Volkanovski get another chance after the last one. You know, because I saw him. I think that was the first time I ever saw him was
Against Islam,
versus Islam,
which I thought he
and
won.
that's one thing that I kind of disagree with basically everyone. Like when I was watching the fight, like I said,
Oh,
I had never seen Volkanovski before. I had never seen Islam before. It's my first ever fight watching both of them. And while I was watching both of them, I just thought I thought it was a close fight, but I did think that Islam deserved the win. Which I
it's
saw,
surprising that
and
you say that just because you critiqued Pantoja for holding the back of Moreno, but that's what Islam did to
well,
Volkanovski.
that's the thing, is it was like a thing of he was holding when they were holding the backs, like I wasn't paying, like that was kind of okay, dumb, whatever, and I basically don't see that as time in. What I was looking at, it was just when they were up, when they were striking, when they were wrestling, like um Islam was taking him down, and I mean the thing was is I thought he won, and then when it came to when our friend John, who is much more into the UFC, more akin to Gabe, and he
Sure.
more akin, okay, so maybe not on the
All
same level,
right.
but he at least knows a lot more than I do, and he agreed, and it was just like that fight, I think.
John's also an Islam nut rider, so he's also a Khabib nut rider, so it's biased.
He is, but
I'm not. I don't know.
you
I'm
were
not even a
also a
giant fan. No, I'm
Volkanovski
not.
nut, right?
I'm not.
No,
No, no, no. I
yeah,
promise you. Before that fight, even I was never. I'm not even generally right now a fan of Volkanovski. I want Ilya to destroy him, honestly, and I think Ilya will. I think if they fight, I think Ilya knocks Volkanovski unconscious, and that's my
Really?
honest opinion. I like Volkanovski as a person, and I think he's a good fighter. But when I watched the Islam fight, I didn't even know that much about Volkanovski. Like I watched him fight. I thought he lost against Max Holloway in their second fight. I thought it was a robbery. And then their third fight happened, and Volkanovski destroyed Max, and I was like, wow, okay, he really improved. But I'm generally not a huge fan of Volkanovski. I
Well, I
think
think
there's
you
guys
also
more
don't like
exciting.
Islam.
I dislike Islam style because it's boring.
Hmm.
Because he can put on exciting performances when the fighter he's fighting allows him to. And that's the truth of it. Because at least with Khabib, he fights to get a finish. Islam does not fight to get a finish. He ends up getting a finish because of the other fighter's recklessness.
Yeah,
And
I
that's the
mean,
problem. Because
that's
Islam, right? He'll get your back and he'll just swim for a sub, but he won't like actually go for it. He'll just put his hooks in like this, wait till he grabs the arm, and then put his other hook in, and then put his other hook. That's what he's doing at Volkanovski. And there
mhm.
was a part where Volkanovski got like annoyed because he couldn't get out the body triangle, and of course that's his fault because he needs to learn how to swim to the right side and try and break that triangle. But there was a part where Islam literally wasn't doing anything; he was just sitting there like this with the body triangle. So Volkanovski started striking him from
I
his
saw
own
that clip.
back,
Yep.
and it was literally fucking up fucking Islam. And of course, you don't give those points as much to Volk because he doesn't have the control in that round. But it kind of shows that Islam isn't he's not really like trying to get a win. He doesn't have the heart that Khabib did. And that's the problem that John makes a comparison that Islam is somewhat akin to Khabib. There's no fucking comparison.
Yeah. Well, no, I disagree with him in
I
that
wouldn't say
regard
Islam's a
completely.
dominant champion at all. I would say he is a very talented, very like solid champion, but I don't think he has the same heart or hunger that any other UFC champion has.
That's kind of how I look at as the Nurmagomedovs, like the ones that I've seen. Um, and I think we were looking at another Dagestani a while ago, not the most recent one, but the you know, and I think he ended up losing. I can't remember who it was.
We watched
Um,
how am I forgetting the name?
I know,
Uh, it was Nurmagomedov versus it was Dos Santos. Zaleski Dos Santos.
and he lost, right?
Yeah, Zaleski Dos Santos won a split decision. I thought Dos Santos did enough, and then he did.
Yeah, it was
Who
like
was he fighting?
I can't. It was one of the Nurmagomedovs, and it
Yeah,
was like
it's Khabib's cousin. I'm just
yeah, and
he's
and
the least successful of them all. He's 17-4. I know his record. I know what he looks like. I just can't think of his first name at the moment.
well, I just remember being the only person who like who picked him because everyone else was like, oh yeah, you know, he's gonna win or blah blah blah, and I was the only one who picked the other guy because I was
I
like,
picked Zaleski. I was the only
are
person who
you
picked Zaleski.
sure?
You put Nurmagomedov.
I thought I put Zaleski.
No.
Oh no no no! I remember that. It was because I was gonna
Remember,
put
because I
I
was
was gonna
gloating
put
my ass off
no
about
I was gonna no what happened was I was gonna put Zaleski and I had him there and then I was losing and my points were really low so I switched to
Never
the other guy.
switch. Never
Yeah,
switch.
I've learned now, but I switched to the other guy and then I got super pissed off because had I kept my pick I would have gotten it perfectly. So yeah, but that was my point is I kind of just didn't think he would win and I was right. He didn't win.
I would go from here and say, okay, well, Volkanovski did a great job, and I can't wait to see whatever he does next. And we would usually from here go on to the next event, but all of the good fights except for one have been canceled. I actually just looked
Really?
at my phone and saw the announcement. Walt Harris's fight got canceled. If he doesn't get a replacement, this fight is going to be so fucking lackluster. And Walt Harris is not a big name. He hasn't fought in 2 years. He's John Jones' sparring partner. He has one of the best combos I've ever seen in my entire life, and
Mhm.
he pushes the pace. He's a fun fighter, but he's a really good wrestler. But you've got Holly Holm versus Myra Bueno Silva. I think Holly Holm's just gonna. It's a mid fight. I think Holly Holm's.
Caitlin shaking
Holly,
her head right now.
yeah, Holly Holm is like 42. She's the main event of this fight, and she's not dominant. She's only had one win since coming back,
Hmm.
and she's the main event. I don't know what's going on with
That's
that.
that's weird. Yeah, it
Um,
doesn't seem like a.
there's
We'll watch it, but
there's two fights on here that are worth watching. It's Terrance McKinney. I got his hoodie. One of my he always puts on the most exciting fights, whether he's losing in them or winning in them.
mhm.
He's a high paced fighter. I really hope he has improved his striking defense. He reminds me a lot of the pace of Charles Oliveira with that offense. but he has extremely good wrestling, and he has an amazing backstory, and I love like hearing from Terrance McKinney. Very charismatic, hangs out with Kevin Holland. You know, he's real good on the social media. His page is fucking hilarious. Posts a lot of memes. And then we would have had Walt Harris and Josh Parisian, which fucking Walt Harris would have murdered Parisian, but we can't even watch that anymore. And
That's
then
annoying.
there's a
That's really annoying.
last second fight between Jack Della Maddalena and Basil Havas, who's making his UFC debut.
These are all people that I don't know.
Jack Della Maddalena was supposed to be on the last card. You would have known him after you saw his fight because he has the best boxing in the UFC when it comes to power, striking, and speed by far. In the most elite in the entire UFC. The only guy who has better overall boxing is Max Holloway, and he doesn't have the power to really say that, in my opinion. So, I mean, Jack Della Maddalena is going to put someone on a fucking stretcher tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Saturday. But there's no other good fucking fights in this card. I'm happy that there's going to be UFC every single Saturday for the next 3 months. But this card is fucking hot dog water, and I'm gonna watch it all.
Maybe there'll be good fights, but
they're usually on a card like that. There usually is. There's usually at least one extremely crazy fight, but the name value on this card is really bad. It's probably some of the worst I've seen in my entire life. I mean, Holly Holm's only claim to fame was knocking out Ronda Rousey, and I mean that's a very big claim to fame. But goddamn, that was like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
That was so long ago.
Yeah,
Holly
I was
Holm
gonna
is
say
42.
Ronda Rousey's like...
I'm rooting for Holly Holm. I really like watching her fight because she's a fun fighter and she's strong as shit and a 42-year-old at that and a woman. Yeah. It's incredible what she does, but how is that a main event? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're clinging, that's...
I think we're gonna clear off with that.
Yeah, and there's no real point. Hopefully everything next week or the Saturday is going to be a good entertaining time, but we'll put our picks in the comments for it,
and so we'll get back to the fun shit next week.
Yes, absolutely. So
have a good day.
Yeah, good to see you.
Fuck your mom.
Hey, your mom, yeah.
Boy, your mom,
hey, your mom, yeah. All right, have a good one, everybody.